looks like we're live and no video. Let's give this another shot. There we go. All right, looks like we're live and with video. So I will possibly be stopping and starting this as the video freezes. I'm having some troubles with the driver for the capture, and it doesn't like, I'm flipping the video as well, so it doesn't like that. So anyhow, we'll give this a shot, and I may have to, you'll still hear my voice, but you just won't hear, or you won't see anything moving for a minute, so I'll keep an eye on that. But welcome to another unboxing. This time we have the Gale Force 9 version of Dune. So this is actually a remake of a 1979 board game, kind of a bookshelf board game by Avalon Hill. Let's take a quick look at what that looked like. So there's Dune by Avalon Hill, a much tinier box, and this was kind of, you know, the Avalon Hill era of paper maps and cardboard tokens, so that's what inside the box looked like. So you did have your little kind of privacy screen for your houses. There were dials, and then tokens and cards, and then the license just stayed with Avalon Hill, or nobody was able to actually re-release that board game until Fantasy Flight did Rex, and that's what Rex looks like. So Rex was the exact same mechanics of the Dune board game that was designed for Avalon Hill, but it was actually set in the Twilight Imperium setting, which was, I guess, an original property of Fantasy Flight, so they were able to do that. So now we're going to take a look at, so that was 1979, Rex was 2012, I believe, and then now 2019, we have the release of a remake, and it looks like I'm frozen again. A release of the remake for the original mechanics of Dune. So this should be interesting. Okay, so that's what everything used to look like. And now this is what we have today. So this is the Gale Force 9 presentation, and as you can see, it's not a bookshelf game. It's a much more, you know, standard square boxed board game. So the spice must flow. Dune, a game of conquest, diplomacy, and betrayal. So this is a pretty famous game as far as, you know, it was a small bookshelf game, but very playable and recreated kind of the contest for Arrakis, you know, the houses, the intrigue, diplomacy, and kind of dueling houses, trying to control Dune, the planet Arrakis, for the spice melange. And so, as you can see here, Gale Force 9, 2 to 6 players, and a very modest 120 plus minutes. I've heard people say this can be a 4 to 6 hour game, depending on how many players and how much betrayal is actually going on. So yeah, it's a little bit infamous in that way. Just like Twilight Imperium, the games can drag out. It doesn't have, it's not a concise, very easy way to end it. And here we go again. So let's take a look at the back and see what it says. So yeah, nice artwork, nice design, and original design. So I think the licensing of this property and the release of this game, of course, was supposed to be timed more with the Legendary Pictures Dune remake that was coming supposedly in 2020, but got pushed back to this year, 2021. And so as things were kind of, you know, ramping up for Dune, they got this license and produced this game. So as you can see, a very nice components this time around. So we have a board and actual counters and cards, and it looks like, and we've the same dials as well. So basically all of the mechanics are going to remain the same. Wow, this is not going well. But so yeah, very nice. The screens are a little more modest. They're not the kind of cases that they had before, but it looks like they have a little bit more rules explanation and everything. And oh yeah, but there we go. So this is, I don't think the artwork, there's no artwork or anything directly from the film, but they are probably piggybacking on on the license, the Legendary Pictures license, because there's a Legendary logo right there. So yeah, 14 and up is their age requirements. So in the box is the game board, the rule book, quick start, player shields, 6 player sheets, 2 battle wheels, cards, and tokens. So wow, 119 cards and 324 tokens. So lots to punch out. Imagine you control the forces of a noble family, guild, or religious order on a barren planet, which is the only source for the most valuable substance in the known universe. Imagine you can rewrite the script for one of the most famous science fiction books of all time. Welcome to the acclaimed 40-year-old board game, which allows you to recreate the incredible world of Frank Herbert's Dune. In Dune, you will become the leader of one of the 6 great factions. Each wishes to control the most valuable resource in the universe, melange, the mysterious spice only found at great cost on the planet Dune. As Duke Leto Atreides says, all fades before melange. A handful of spice will buy you a house in Tupile, but it cannot be manufactured. It must be mined on Arrakis. It is unique and it has true geriatric properties, and without melange, space travel would be impossible. Only ingesting the addictive drug can the Guild Steersman continue to experience visions of the future, enabling them to plot a safe path through hyperspace. So there's our description. And we're back. Yeah, the video is not going to cooperate. So game design, Gale Force 9 2019. So yeah, they say it's based on the 40-year-old game. I wonder if there have been any mechanical improvements or anything, because, you know, a 40-year-old board game, the aesthetics and the thinking is a lot different. So mechanics may have been streamlined, but I doubt it. I think if they license directly this game, but they are saying game design 2019, so that leads you to believe there may be some changes that they can actually claim for themselves. So the other thing we will also be opening is the house expansion. So there was an expansion made for this game as well. So the Ixians and Tleilaxu house expansion. So I think this gives you access to the tanks, the Tleilaxu tanks, and adds some mechanics to the game. So I'm not sure if there was an expansion to the original, but this will add more of that. So we'll take a look at this afterwards, and I'll go through the back of the box as well. So first, let's see what's inside this base game. So nice box. Yeah, has a nice texture on it, not a glossy cover. So yeah, much easier to see now with the lights hitting it. So not quite the linen finish. Yeah, it's got a nice texture to it and feels pretty thick. Let's take a look and see what's inside. And the artwork is nice. It looks like very kind of vector style art, not very painterly, but yeah, still looks nice. Is that. So right away we've got the quick start guide. So it gives you your 6 houses: Atreides, Harkonnen, Bene Gesserit, the Spacing Guild, the Emperor, and the Fremen. So they don't name the house, the family name of the Emperor. All right, so here is all your initial setups and everything. And I did see for this game that they did just announce they will be doing a larger neoprene map board for this. So a larger map as well as the miniatures. So when this was released in 2019, it also had a special version that went, I believe, just to Barnes & Noble. And in that special version, they included 3 miniatures. So there were 3 plastic miniatures, a worm, a sandstorm, and something else that represented maybe a crawler or something that represented things maybe replacing counters. So that was a Barnes & Noble exclusive, and now they're going to be releasing those along with a larger neoprene map board to play on. So kind of keep things easier to reach and maybe a little bit quieter as far as noise on the table. So here's your setup for your original houses and kind of a quick run through of examples of play and setup. Yeah, so the art, it looks like they did original illustration. Nothing is too specifically referencing the legendary pictures characters. But there's your quick start, does everything up, and then a quick reference on the back to give you the order of the phases of play. All right. Here's our larger rule book. Of course, it fits the whole size of the box itself, so that's good. And let's see here. Inside, we've got, oh yeah, then a further description, so kind of a preface. So talking about the book itself and its influence, the setting. See if it's going to mention. No, it doesn't specifically mention the original version of the game. So you'll have to take a closer look at the rules and compare them. There's kind of PDFs floating around, like scans of the original game from 1979. So it's nice they're still intact copies. So we'll see how close those actual mechanics are. So there's all the tokens of all of your members of each house, how to put together your dials, everything that's in the game, your house shields, and yeah, different decks of cards. And then basic gameplay setup. The Chome charity phase. All right, yeah, so each phase spelled out. Let's go back. All right, we lost our camera again. So each phase spelled out, and there we go. So yeah, they go through the sequence of play, so basic gameplay and more details about what each of those phases involve. The Storm phase, the Spice Blow and Nexus, the Chome Charity, Bidding, Revival, Shipment and Movement, Battles, Spice Collection, and the Mentat Pause phase. An advanced game, so they have advanced rules. So the basic game is changed by increasing the number of spice blows, adding the spice advantage for holding a city, or Tleilaxu Seek, the Smuggler Stronghold, an enhanced Karama card, and an advanced battle system. So that is the improvement on the game. So more spice will be blowing around in the advanced game. All right, strategy tips. Oh, that's nice. Faction tips. Yeah, so the complication of the strategy, that's interesting. That may be something that they decided to do if you weren't, a player of the original game. Then it'll give you some hints on how to approach each faction. And that's the thing they talk about the most with this game is each house plays very differently. So it gives you, you have a different strategy and kind of a different approach. So which house you choose will determine like your style of play. And so they give you kind of explanation of advantages and things that you're going to have. A synopsis of the entire story of Dune. That's crazy. Look at that. Yeah. And then questions and answers. So kind of an FAQ at the back to help you resolve questionable rules. And there's your optional rules for alliances and then all of your credits. So here's our game design. Yeah, it doesn't specifically say. So yeah, so the Avalon Hill playtest, they do credit the original playtesters for it. And it doesn't have one of those kind of split copyrights where they say, 1979, 2019. So it was a 40-year-old difference in that. So I think tabletop gaming has changed a lot and what people expect from a board game. So this may be an interesting oddity, like a cosmetically updated oddity from the late 70s, or it could be a very playable game with maybe a little bit of tweaking of mechanics. So we'll have to see what they decided to do. My guess is that this is just going to be a straight update because it's no longer available. And the original version of it was, like I was saying, paper and cardboard counters that you kind of cut out. So the quality of this will be much better. And this is more in line with what people expect from a modern board game. So here are our house shields for each player. So the Bene Gesserit. And then, so they give you another example of the strategy for each house. So you don't have to spend time checking that in the rule book. You can actually, here's your strategy on the back of your shield. That's nice. So Bene Gesserit, the Fremen, their strategies, the Spacing Guild, and their bulbous heads. The Emperor, Shaddam IV. Nice. Yeah, so these are a bit simpler. The other ones were kind of boxes, so these will be easy to flatten and put back in the box. That may be why they just did a kind of trifold card. Harkonnen, and Atreides. So Paul being the main character, I guess this is assuming Duke Leto is already dead. Or maybe he's still a playable character. And there we have our... Yeah, so we have, if I can get the video running again. What a fun live stream. So here we have our kind of player summary card. So more from what they had in the rule book, the advantages, alliances, advanced combat advantages. So each of the houses has information specific to what their house does and their particular mechanical advantages. So there again, and these are nice. These are nice thick cards. Everything is a decent, definitely decent quality. You're not going to have to worry about these getting too damaged and disgusting from play. They're nice, nice strong cardboard. So all of the houses again with their kind of summary of play and advantages info. And here's the beginning of our tokens. So they colored each house, so you can see everything is color-coded by house, plus they have the icon of each house as well. So two-sided, nice two-sided tokens. So we should have plenty of these, and then maybe spice tokens. And our battle wheel. Oh, here's our characters as well. Yes, I don't see the Duke. Interesting. So Paul is our main character, but Dr. Huey still lives. Interesting. All right. So they have, for the Emperor, they have the princess and the Reverend Mother. Oh, and there's the icons on the back of those tokens as well. And the next battle wheel and remaining characters. Oh, interesting. Yeah, they have a lot of a lot of interesting characters I wasn't suspecting. Yeah, I haven't ever played the original. I just, by reputation only, I know about it, and so I'm very curious to see what characters they included from each house. And so here we go. So these were the things that will be represented as miniatures. If you would like, you can purchase miniatures for the sandworm, the shield wall, and the storm itself. So I believe that's what they made miniatures of that you can replace those tokens with on the board. So yeah, everything is well produced. All right, so here's our board. Oh, look at that. They did a nice job there. So now you have reserves for, like little reservoirs for all of the different tokens. So everything looks like it's going to fit well in this box. You don't need to kind of rework it. There's a vacuum tray here that's going to hold your cards, your tokens where you need them, and even the bag for the centers of those dials is right there. So that's nice because with the board on top of that, those aren't going to go anywhere. And so yeah, the game is very self-contained. So that's nice to see. And with the, the kind of limited number of components, that makes sense. I wonder if the miniatures would actually fit in here because from what I saw, they're not very large. They don't seem to be anything, larger than about like 30 millimeters. So they may actually fit in those little pockets. That would be nice. But of course, I don't think that giant neoprene mat will. So we'll see about that. But let's take a look at this board. Yeah, so it's just a quartered. It's a bit smaller. Each kind of quadrant of the board is a bit smaller than the size of the box itself. So it's a little bit tinier than that. But yeah, it looks nice. And it continues, the design continues throughout kind of the graphic kind of vector art look. So not as painted as a lot of things end up looking. But yeah, all the areas are represented in the different phases, as well as tracking in place. Oh, and they already have a place. Oops, try that again. They already have a place down here. I'll have to fold it in half for the Tleilaxu tanks, and then your spice bank. So if that's keeping with the books, I think you have a place that you can resurrect characters. We'll have to see that in the expansion itself. Oh, that's another question too, as well. How much is included in the expansion, and does that actually fit in this box as well? So we'll have an answer to that. Maybe we'll do a follow-up video with a storage answer to how this goes. And a quick look on the back is just black. Yeah, nothing else, no like advanced mode or anything on the back. So yeah, just slightly smaller than the box itself, but plenty of space. So I'm wondering how much bigger they're going to actually make the neoprene version of this, because this is you know, it's workable, but it's not huge. And as you can see, the tokens themselves, if they're going to be played in different parts, then they may need then a bigger board might not be a bad thing. So the only difficulties with a larger board then, of course, is storage. So that's the frustrating part, is then you've got a box with all your pieces in it, and then you've got a rolled up neoprene mat next to that. But no, it looks good. And the tray looks like a really thoughtful design. And here are our decks of cards. So we have the Treachery cards, the Spice cards, the Trader deck, Prediction. Oh, great. And little summaries of the phases of play. It looks like 6 of those, so each player can have those for reference. Storm cards and the Kwisatz Haderach cards. So let's just open these and see, because it's nice they all have distinctive backs, so it's easy to take a look. So the Emperor, the Spacing Guild, the Fremen. So this may be a random way to decide which house has the Kwisatz Haderach. And then we have so a leader bonus card as well. Yeah, they're okay. They're not incredibly. They're nice coated. They're a nice coated card. Not incredibly thick, but it doesn't feel like they're going to be damaged because they have a pretty decent protective coating on them. And a really nice design. I think the design was carried through really well. And that's always something that you know, can change kind of your feeling, or kind of the look of the game, the tone of the game, is the design. So here's all of our sandworm backs. And then just a quick reference for each phase of play, and shows you the icon where they're going to be representing that on the board. And then for details, like once you've gone through them a few times, I think you'll have a decent idea of what will happen. Our storm cards, so these may just be locations. Okay. So here's our storm cards. And yeah, these are just the 6 sectors, 5 sectors, 3, 2, and 1. So how many sectors are affected by storms and those values? So that will, I'm sure, change things. Then we have predictions. So the spice, of course, gives you prescience. So that will mean knowing what may happen in the future. So here are our prediction cards. And it's just telling you in what turn things will happen. So we've got cards numbered 1 to 10 turns, and then Fremen, Bene Gesserit, Atreides, the Emperor, and Harkonnen. So each of the houses listed. So I guess the expansion is going to have to, if they're adding houses, they may have to add some of each of these cards as well. Those were our predictions. And now trader cards. So more nice design on the back. The trader icon. So here's all the characters from each of their houses and who is the trader. So it doesn't always have to be Dr. Yueh. And it looks like his wife is there as well. I think I saw reference to Yueh's wife. So she yet lives. All right. Yeah, so those are all of our trader cards. And then we've got Spice and Treachery. So the Spice cards. And here are, all the areas on the map and the spice values. So what everyone's going to be fighting for. And a Shai Halud card. So get your sandworm miniatures out. Nice. And I've got to think, too, that someone has created 3D models. That if you have a 3D printer, I'm sure there are Shai Haluds out there. Generic, non-licensed Shai Halud miniatures. And finally, our treachery cards. Ah, so Chris knives and all sorts of weapons. Nice. Drugs and shields and everything. A snooper. Oh yeah, poison snoopers for if people are trying to put something in your food. Cheap heroes. Ah, the Tleilaxu Gula. There we go. You can bring Duncan back. Nice. Truth Trance, Weather Control, Balisette. All right. So, Gurney Halleck's Balisette. I guess there was a Fremen with a Balisette as well. All right. So those are all of your treachery, your treacherous musical instrument cards. Great. So that's everything in the base set. And let's take a quick look inside the house expansion. So Ixian and Tleilaxu, and see what this adds. So on the back, it says this expansion has 2 new houses, the Ixian and Tleilaxu, adds them to the Dune board game. So the Tleilaxu are led by a small council of masters. The fanatic, xenophobic Tleilaxu were tolerated because of their unusual genetic engineering superiority. Although underestimated and loathed by others, they are hoped to someday dominate all. And the Ixian are the cyborg. The Prince Rombor of House Vernius leads the Ixian masters to manufacturing and technologies only they know how to deploy. So both the Ixian and Tleilaxu are integrated into the economy of Chom and the Imperium. The royal family of Ix had once been one of the wealthiest in the Imperium, but because of the successful invasion of Ix by the Tleilaxu and the Emperor Sardaukar, and then after many years, the liberation of Ix by the Ixian and Atreides forces, the Ixians and the Tleilaxu are mortal enemies. So this expansion introduces new game mechanics to help you gain advantage over your rivals. All right. So let's take a look. So I wonder if you will actually need this tiny box or if all of these components will fit into the larger box. So good. It's the same quality as the other box. I'm wondering, yeah, it's not quite. It's the same size, so it won't fit actually inside. But let's see. So yeah, so we're going to have our cards. It's going to add the Ixian and Tleilaxu houses to everything. Yeah, so as I was suspecting, we're going to have treachery cards. Oh, a lot of treachery cards. Traitor cards. Spice and alliance cards that are going to add these 2 houses to everything going on in the game, as well as their constituents. Poison blades, more snoopers, harvesters, thumpers, shields. Nice, so I have more cards to actually... So it's probably good to keep these separate until you have played at least the basic game once and then integrate them in. So here there's the kind of slender rule book for these 2 additional houses. And it doesn't say... Yeah, I'll have to double check if there actually was a... expansion done for the original Avalon Hill, or if this is part of the kind of the new era, the re-release of this as well. So we have tech tokens, and then faction rules and advantages for each of the houses. All right, yeah. So it looks like they add the addition of tech tokens. So that's the other mechanic. So they're tanks, the highliners, and spice production tokens. Wow, really unpleasant. I think I might have to get something else to stream video with. So yeah, just a slender rule book, and then a little bit about how how that works and how the new mechanics function in both the basic and advanced game. And here's more tokens, of course, for all of the members of the additional houses, and then the technology tokens that are added as well. Yeah, and the same kind of two-sided, a mobile stronghold. Nice. Nice two-sided tokens before. And then, oh, that's good. They'd give you the same references, so the advantages reference for each player, like they have in the base game, as well as our last thing looks like player shields for Ixians and Tleilaxu. Nice. Yeah, those are exactly the same quality as the ones in the main box, which is nice because sometimes, and I guess if the expansion was produced at the same time, sometimes you get a little bit difference in quality, and that becomes especially critical when you have things like card backs. So I've had a few games where they've published expansions and things later, and they've used a different factory or different manufacturers, or just something has mechanically changed in the presses that they use for the cards, and you have a different tint of card back. So if you blend in, and you're supposed to blend the cards into new decks, you can obviously see which cards are new and which cards are old, because one's more red, one's more yellow. But yeah, I think these look produced all at the same time, so hopefully that is not an issue at all. All right, so that is the expansion. And a base game. So yeah, everything looks like it fits very well back in, which is really nice. I mean, and I guess, with a game designed in 1979, you wouldn't expect it to, and especially as a bookshelf game. I mean, basically it was paper and cardboard tokens that folded back into something like the size of a little bit thicker than a DVD case, basically, like a hardbound book. So there is everything as it fits inside, and our little quick start. So everything, looks really well produced. This is a nice thing to have. It's nice that they actually were able to, get this license at this time, corresponding with the movie, and be able to release this classic board game. And it's not as unwieldy as something like Twilight Imperium. As you can even see with Rex. Rex looked like a bit of a bigger game. The board sprawled a little bit, but looked like basically like cards and counters, and possibly ships. I think they may have had plastic ships because Twilight Imperium is famous for its plastic ships. So yeah, I'm really interested to play this, and also give a quick rules comparison between the original rule set and this rule set, and see which is actually different, if there are any differences, and if there was in fact a 1979 expansion that added the additional 2 houses. So that gives you a total of 8 possible houses to play. They're still saying 2 to 6 players, so I don't think you could get away with an 8-player game unless you had a nice half a day to spend. So this has been the unboxing of the Gale Force 9 remake of the Dune board game. So thank you for watching. Please like this video or this stream if you enjoyed watching this, and I hope it was useful. Forgive me for the camera restarts. I think I'll have to download this and edit those out a bit just to kind of improve the quality of the, the unboxing itself. But thanks for hanging in there with me. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel. We do unboxings, lore videos, actual plays, and reviews as well of everything tabletop, so role-playing games, board games, and kind of everything in between. So thanks for joining me, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Right now it's Idle Red Hands and idleredhands.com, and tune in also for our weekly live show, The Weekly, where we kind of cover the latest topics and what's going on with board games, both in the kind of business and the fandom itself. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you again next time. And if you want to hang around on the chat, I will jump onto the chat after this and catch up with everybody. If anybody had any questions or anything while I was doing this, it's only me, so I wasn't able to kind of man both things at the same time. It was hard enough to keep the camera itself running, but I will see you next time, and I will see you in the chat. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.